Keanu Reeves confronts a rude talk show host. His response makes the audience silent. The stage was set, the lights perfectly angled, and the audience buzzed with excitement. It was another night on the Late Night Roundtable, a show famous for its sharp-witted, no-holds-barred host, Derek Carter. Known for poking fun at celebrities and pushing them into uncomfortable corners, Carter thrived on controversy. Tonight's guest, Keanu Reeves. As the announcer called his name, Keanu walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. He wore a simple black suit, his signature shoulder-length hair framing his face. He waved at the crowd with a humble nod before taking a seat across from Carter, who smirked, tapping his fingers on the desk. The applause finally died down, and Carter wasted no time. "So Keanu," he began, leaning forward, "you've been in this industry for decades, yet somehow you still managed to keep up this mysterious nice guy thing." He made air quotes as he said it. "You've got fans who think you're some kind of modern-day saint, but come on, you're a rich Hollywood actor. What's the catch?" A few uneasy chuckles rippled through the audience. Carter was known for his jabs, but this one felt unusually pointed. Keanu, however, didn't react right away. He simply looked at Carter, his face unreadable, then tilted his head slightly. "The catch," he repeated. Carter shrugged, flashing his usual cocky grin. "Yeah, nobody's that good, right? I mean, you're out here giving up your seats on the subway, donating money left and right, talking about kindness and loss like some kind of Zen master. But you're still a guy who's made millions from violent action movies. Bit of a contradiction, don't you think?" The room tensed. The audience had come expecting entertainment, not a confrontation. All eyes were on Keanu, waiting for his response. For a moment, he just sat there, his fingers loosely interlocked. Then, in a quiet but firm voice, he said, "I don't think kindness and success have to be opposites." Carter chuckled, shaking his head. "Come on, man. You really expect people to believe that you're just this generous, humble guy without any ulterior motive?" Keanu finally leaned forward, looking Carter straight in the eyes. His voice remained calm, but there was an unmistakable intensity in it. "I don't expect people to believe anything. I just live my life the way I choose to." He paused, letting the words settle before continuing. "You think kindness is a performance? Maybe because in this industry you've seen a lot of people pretend. Well, I've also seen things that make you realize how fragile life is. If you lost everything tomorrow, would you rather have spent your time tearing people down or lifting them up?" Carter opened his mouth, then hesitated. His usual witty comebacks weren't coming to him. The audience was completely silent now, hanging on every word. Keanu let the moment linger, then leaned back, offering a small smile. "I don't need people to think I'm a saint. I just know that every person I meet is fighting a battle I can't see, and if I can make that battle even a little easier, why wouldn't I?" The silence stretched. No one moved. Even Carter, the king of the sarcastic comeback, seemed momentarily lost. Finally, he exhaled sharply, rubbing his chin. "Well," he muttered, forcing a small laugh, "that was a much deeper answer than I was expecting." Keanu just smiled. "Most things are, if you take the time to really ask." The audience erupted into applause, not the usual polite clapping, but something real. Something that lingered. As the cameras cut to commercial, Carter looked at Keanu again, this time without the smirk. "You really don't play the game, do you?" Keanu chuckled. "Depends on what game you're talking about." And with that, the segment ended. Not with an argument, not with a joke, but with the quiet power of sincerity. And long after Keanu left the stage, the weight of his words stayed behind. As the cameras cut to commercial, the studio remained unusually quiet. The usual chatter from the crew, the background laughter from the audience, the rustling of papers, it was all missing. It was as if Keanu's words had left an invisible weight in the air, something unshakable. Carter leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly as he drummed his fingers on the desk. He wasn't used to this feeling. He was always the one in control, the one who dictated the pace of the interview, but Keanu had shifted the ground beneath him with just a few carefully placed words. A stagehand approached him. "You good, boss?" Carter looked up, blinked, then let out a small laugh. "Yeah, just thinking." Backstage, Keanu walked down the hallway toward the exit. A few crew members nodded at him in quiet admiration. Some looked like they wanted to say something, but he didn't need them to. He could feel it in the way they looked at him. They had heard him. Really heard him. As he reached the door leading out to the street, a voice called out behind him, "Keanu!" He turned to see Carter standing a few feet away, hands in his pockets. The cocky energy was gone, replaced by something more thoughtful. "I gotta ask," Carter said, stepping forward. "Do you ever get tired of it?" Keanu raised an eyebrow. "Of what?" "Of always being the guy people expect to be, I don't know, better than the rest of us?" Keanu chuckled, shaking his head. "No one expects that." Carter smirked. "You sure about that?" Keanu held his gaze for a moment before answering. "I don't try to be better, I just try to be me," he shrugged. "And if that helps someone, then great. But I don't do it for expectations. I do it because I know what it's like to need kindness." Carter nodded slowly, processing the words. He looked like he wanted to say more, but instead he just extended a hand. Keanu took it, giving him a firm but friendly shake. As Keanu stepped outside, the cool night air greeted him. The city buzzed around him. Cars passing, people walking, the hum of life continuing as it always did. He pulled his jacket a little tighter around himself and started down the sidewalk, blending into the crowd like any other person. Back in the studio, Carter sat back at his desk, staring at his reflection in the glossy surface. He had done 1,000 interviews before. He had challenged politicians, debated with intellectuals, roasted the biggest names in Hollywood. But something about this one felt different. He reached for his pen and tapped it against his notes. Then, with a smirk, he muttered to himself, "Maybe I've been asking the wrong questions all along." And somewhere down the busy city streets, Keanu Reeves kept walking. No cameras, no entourage, just a man moving through the world the way he always had. Quietly, thoughtfully, and on his own terms.